Good morning. Have I got a treat of a wine for you today? Elderflower wine is probably one of my all-time favourite wines to make. It is so reminiscent of summer. It's that iconic summer's drink, and I love elderflower wine. But I am making the elderflower wine made from dried elderflowers. The reason for this is that I can't really find any elderflowers up here on my island very easily. So I do have to resort to using dried elderflowers. But that isn't a bad thing, because when I've done taste tests before between dried elderflower wine and fresh elderflowers in a wine, I much prefer the dried elderflowers. There is something about the flavour of the dried that gives the elderflower wine a lot more body and a lot more substantial flavour and taste. So for this recipe, I'm going to be using dried elderflowers. Dried elderflowers are as cheap as chips to buy online. I will put a link down below in the description to where I bought these from, and they are fantastic for making elderflower wine. For that reason, because they are so cheap and the wine is so good, I'm going to be making a 5-gallon batch of the wine. I'll put a link down below in my blog for a 1-gallon batch and also this 5-gallon recipe. And to be honest with you, it is so easy to make. It is one of those wines you can make in 5 minutes, 20 minutes, as long as it takes to boil the kettle and put things into a bucket. Simple as that. And this wine doesn't take that long to mature either. Make it now, end of summer, and it will be ready in the spring to enjoy. It's a light, it's a floral, it's a fruity, it's a tasty, it's a very much drinkable social wine. Alcohol-wise, it comes up to about 12.5%, which is ideal for those long spring summer days. So make it now and it'll be ready for you when you want it for your barbecues and your picnics next summer. Fantastic stuff. Right then, let's get on with this recipe. First thing you're going to need is a fermentation bucket, big enough to hold your 1 gallon or your 5-gallon brew. Get it sanitised, get it clean, get it sterilised, get it as good and as clean as you can. As with all winemaking, you want to keep everything as clean as you can. And as I said before, this recipe is so simple to make, yet it is so rewarding. So first thing you want to do with your fermentation bucket is pour in 6 kilograms of granulated white sugar. So just pour it straight in there, nice and easy. And then go back on the kettle and boil up some water so you can dissolve all this lovely sugar. Fantastic. And with your boiling water in your kettle, you want to pour over as much water as it takes to dissolve all of that glorious sugar. So pour it over and give it a really good stir. If the sugar is still very thick and hasn't quite dissolved, add another 2, 4, 6 litres until it is all dissolved in. If there is a layer of sugar at the bottom of your fermenter, the yeast is going to find that really difficult to work its way through. Yeast much prefers eating its way through a syrup, a liquid, than solid sugar. It is near on impossible for yeast to eat through a solid. And then with your sugar all dissolved in, you want to add to your boiling or very near boiling water your dried elderflowers. The heat from the water will help extract a lot of the flavour into the liquid. So it's a simple case of sprinkling in your elderflowers. For a 1-gallon batch, I would be aiming to use 20 to 25 grams of dried dehydrated elderflowers. For this 5-gallon batch, I'm using 100 grams of the dried flowers. It doesn't seem much at all, but when they are dried, they are really potent and will give off an amazing flavour to your wine. So I'm going to sprinkle them in whilst the liquid is hot. And they are giving off such an aniseedy, sweet, licoricey aroma, slightly pepperish as well. And these flavours come out in the wine as well. It's going to be aniseedy with this tinge of licorice coming through, with that black pepper undertones, slightly coconutty as well. All these things in a glass really make it so floral and very much drinkable. So now I'm adding my other 50-gram packet. And I'm adding a decent squirt of lemon juice. It just helps the acidity of the wine, of the finished product. So a decent squirt, probably the juice of a whole lemon, if you're using a whole lemon. And I'm also adding 1 orange. A lot of people are opposed to using the pith and the peel of citrus fruits in the wine. They say it can add a bitter taste. That is partly true, it can, but you need a lot and a lot and a lot of the pith and peel and skin to be fermented in the wine for a long, extended period of time. I'm only going to be leaving this citrus fruit, in the wine for about 4 or 5 days. But 1 orange in 5 gallons of liquid for 4 or 5 days will not impart any bitter tastes. And if you can taste any bitter taste at the end of it, then that is probably due to the licorice flavour from the elderflowers coming through. Fantastic. Slice in your orange, get all that juice and all that flesh in there. Lovely stuff. Give it a decent squirt. There are so many recipes out there that try to overcomplicate wines and over-engineer the process. The wine will make itself. All you need is sugar, water and yeast. Then the wine will become. Add your flavourings to the water, yeast and sugar, and then you have a flavoured wine variety. You don't want to over-engineer, you don't want to intervene too much. You may want to think that you are the winemaker, but really the yeast is the winemaker. You are simply putting things together. You are the mixer and then letting nature and chemistry do its thing. So don't faff too much. Shove in what you need to add and let time and chemistry do its thing. That is the real winemaker, time and chemistry. You are just the facilitator in the process, and you get the great rewards for your facilitation. So let nature, time, chemistry do all the hard work. Stand back, go and have a drink, have a brew. Forget about the wine. The longer you forget about it, the less you have to peer in, intervene, faff, micromanage every stage. You don't need to do that. The wine will make itself. And as I've just said, you are the mixer in all of this. So give it a really good stir and mix and get those elderflowers working in to that sugar solution with the citrus, with the lemon and the orange. Stir it all the way around. Fantastic. And the aroma coming off this is so divine. I can't wait. It's very concentrated at the moment because I will be diluting this up to 5 gallons. What you want to do now is put a lid on your fermenter and let it stand for an hour or so. You want the heat of that hot water to absorb out the flavour from your elderflowers. So let it stand for an hour and then come back to it and we'll proceed with the next few stages. Be right back now. Hello, welcome back. Your wine, your elderflower wine, would have had time now to infuse with that sugar and the citrus fruit. Mine has been stirred for about an hour or so, so that's plenty of time for those flavours to become. So the next step, very simple. You want to top up your liquid to a 5 gallon level, or if you're making a 1 gallon batch, top it up to the 1 gallon mark. Simple as that. So pour in your water, and that is looking divine. I've topped mine up to just over the 5 gallon mark because you always lose some liquid when you take out those elderflowers and that orange. So 5 gallons and a litre maybe. The dried elderflowers are going to carry on seeping out their flavour into the liquid. You want to keep them in the liquid for 4 or 5 days, doesn't really matter how long, maybe a week. The longer you leave the elderflowers in there, the stronger the flavour is going to be. Leave it a week. If you only do brews on a Saturday, leave it till next Saturday. Doesn't really matter. As with a lot of recipes, timings are very variable. They are not precise. It doesn't have to be dead on 5 days if the recipe says 5 days. It's more so as a general guideline. So, next step is to add your yeast. I am using a elderflower wine yeast from Loof. I really rate these guys. I always buy my yeast from them. Or you could use any general purpose yeast, it's up to you. But I like to use a specific elderflower wine yeast. It just helps to bring out the floral notes of your elderflowers. So sprinkle in your sachet of yeast on top of the must, on top of the surface. If you feel your yeast could benefit from having some yeast nutrient added, add some. Then it's simply a case of whack on your lid and shove in an airlock and let it stand for 4, 5, 7 days until you get around to processing the next stage. And I'll be back to talk you through the next stage in 4, 5, 7 days, but a second for you. And I'll see you soon. Well, hello and welcome back. 10 days have passed, not the 5, not the 7, but 10 days, because I've been really busy doing lots of things. The elderflower, the dried elderflower wine is looking superb, it is. It's been fermenting away in the bucket, looking awesome. And it's given off this beautiful, rich, licoricey, wonderful aroma. What we need to do now is get rid of the elderflowers and put the liquid into a demijohn, or 5 demijohns if you're making a 5-gallon batch. So go sterilise your bits and bobs. My little helper down here let me sterilise mine just before I came out here. What I find is that elderflowers float to the surface, and if you can put your siphon tube into and below them, that is brilliant. That way you won't suck up any elderflowers into your liquid. Hopefully that's the intent. It's a bit easier. But you found a colander. Thank you, Ron. It is a bit easier than using the colander that my boy has just presented to me. He knows the straw. He knows how to make wine, and he's only 2. Now that is tasting golden. Brilliant. It's... Oh, you can't beat elderflower wine, so go and make some. You then want to let it ferment until it's ready. Store it and mature it for a while, and then bottle, drink and enjoy. So whilst I'm busy racking off, you don't have fun now. Bye-bye.
Bye.